Welcome back, people, to 2015, isn't it? Not 16, is it?
Oh, it's 2015 still, Dave.
Actually, we're traveling back through time last year when we started working on this box set for Horror Month.
So we've got 3 requests since then.
I thought it was like 300.
But we've got requests in to actually finish the Halloween box set. That's what we're doing. We're trying to complete the box set. Last year we ran out of 31 days.
What we're reviewing today is part of the Scream Factory box set that came out 2014.
Yeah.
And we made it all the way up to Halloween 666. But now we are reviewing Halloween H2O.
Nice packaging. Look at the packaging. Nice packaging.
Stop right there, Vince. Let's take a look at this picture for a minute. Does that remind you of something?
Of Halloween H2O.
It's almost the same poster they used for Scream.
Because they got lazy. Movie posters got lazy.
And Scream was such a big hit, they're like, oh, hey, let's just put everybody's faces on it, and boom, done with the poster.
This was actually one of the better ones, though, I will say that.
And here's the inside of the disc. They don't even have Josh Hartnett in back. It's just Jamie Lee, the woman, and Cool J got in there.
That's because LL is bald.
He took up less space because he didn't have hair. Our YouTube subscribers don't like boring crap, Vince. We got to keep it moving. Their attention span's already probably 6 minutes ago.
For those that are still around, well, I have to say this about this movie. I really liked this film. I thought it was perfect sequel to the original 2 films. And I loved it. I thought it was a great movie for the Halloween franchise because of several reasons. 1 being Jamie Lee Curtis being back. And 2 was they got away from the whole Thorn story that was going nowhere.
Yeah, I was about to say that, because when we watched all these together, it was all deep into this Thorn weird ass crap that was going on in the movie, and then it's like all of a sudden this movie has nothing to do with the other ones, and so it was really kind of a breath of fresh air,
It didn't go back to the Temple of Doom.
So yeah, I like the movie a lot too. I don't think it's as amazing as Steve Miner wants us to believe it is, or Jamie Lee Curtis wants us to believe it is. I mean, I thought it was a really good film, and it was a really good return to Halloween. It still wasn't Halloween 1 and 2 though, like they thought it was.
I think it is as far as the story goes. And this could be actually Halloween 3 or 5.
I'm not saying it's a bad film. It's much better than 4 and 5. But still, it's not a classic Halloween. I'm not going to sit here and say this is a classic Halloween. It's not.
I could say that.
I think you just said that, Vince.
I could say that.
I think you did say that.
I did say that.
Okay, so let's jump into the Scream Factory extras on H2O. First, we have the commentary with Steve Miner and Jamie Lee Curtis, and it's also moderated by Sean Clark of Hallowed Grounds.
Okay, something bad's going to happen, right?
Yeah, pretty soon. Yeah, I'll tell you.
Okay, because I really feel like something bad's about to happen.
Well, that's the idea, right, Sean, is we want to always maintain that something's bad is going to happen.
I'm serious.
And how long can you sustain that without delivering?
It's working because I don't like it.
Yeah, the trick to these movies, I think, is to
make them
sustain them, make them wait.
Which it's actually a really good commentary. It's brand new to this disc, and I don't know. I liked it.
First, let me say that I like Jamie Lee Curtis as an actress, but she is as annoying as all hell in this movie, Vince. She just sat there and said, "I don't like horror movies. I don't like horror movies. Why am I watching this horror movie? I don't want to watch this horror movie. Oh, I can't watch it. I can't look at when people get murdered. Tell me when they're going to get murdered. I'm going to look away. I can't watch it."
Steve Miner was interesting, though. I mean, he gave a lot of insight onto what they were doing.
Let me tell you about Steve Miner, Vince.
Tell me about Steve Miner, Dave.
Okay, since you asked, I will tell you. He also annoyed me even more than Jamie Lee Curtis did. Actually, he really just made me angry.
Okay, why did these two makes you so angry? I mean, I guess I know Jamie Lee made you angry, but why did Steve Miner piss you off?
It's a good question, Vince. Let me tell you. Steve Miner, first of all, he directed Friday the 13th, I think part 2 and 3.
Yes.
Oh, I didn't watch any of the other Friday the 13th except for the one that I directed. Really? Really, Steve Miner? You can't watch a movie because you didn't direct it? I mean, he just came off as a total asshole, Vince.
Oh, okay.
Same thing with Jamie Lee Curtis. Oh, I watched the first 2 Halloweens, but no, I lost interest. I never watched any of the other ones, so that's why they don't exist, because I wasn't in them, so they don't exist. And same thing with Steve Miner. Oh, I never watched him either. I don't ever watch sequels usually, unless I'm involved with it. I mean, they both came off as total a-holes.
Well, I don't know. Sometimes Jamie Lee, though, it likes to embellish things. You listen to her commentaries in the first Halloweens that we did. She's interrupting John Carpenter and and saying stuff that just kind of to pick at him and to get a rise out of him, kind of. So who knows if she was actually being completely serious.
If I myself filmed some Friday the 13th films and someone else came along and filmed some other ones, absolutely I'd watch them, because I would like to see what other people did after what I did. I'm not going to sit there, I didn't film this movie, I'm not watching it.
Whether I was in it or not, or involved with it or not, I'd watch those, but I'd watch it because I'd want to see what they did so that I can take a fresh take on it or pick up where they left off.
Next is we have a brand new making of Halloween H2O featuring 1,000 people.
Got the support of my father and the Weinsteins, and the idea was, let's really make this something special. And so the budget was upped, and the idea was, let's get Jamie Lee Curtis back. And I have to say, I have to give that credit to Bob Weinstein. I think it was Bob who approached her.
And I did it out of loyalty to the fans of Halloween.
I enjoyed it. I like seeing all these people come back and talk about the films and seeing what they look like now. It always interests me.
One thing about the commentary I forgot to mention, and it's all the way pretty much throughout the commentary and in the making of this, is the problems they had with the Michael Myers mask throughout the entire film. And I really thought that was interesting.
Yeah, because I think they used the mask from part 6, didn't they? And then they switched masks and made one specifically for this movie.
What it was is they started out with the part 6 mask, and it's only in like one scene of the whole film. It's like the very first shot of Michael like walking through the door is the only scene, I believe. And then they made a mask for this film that was just a pale white mask. And it's used almost throughout half the film, and it's even on the back of the box. If you look at this, that's what the mask looked like. I mean, they didn't cut it out. I mean, it's just a plain, there's no features, hardly at all. And then they went to Stan Winston's studio and gave him, I think they said like $2-something million to make a brand new mask, which they brought in. And then they asked Steve Miner to go back and refilm all the scenes with Michael Myers with the brand new mask. And he refused to do it. So they did eventually cut in a few scenes here and there with the new mask, with the old mask, with the part 6 mask. But all that stuff was really interesting. And the other thing that was really, really interesting about the making of it here was the original guy who did the soundtrack for the film. They asked him to do the soundtrack, so he comes in and records the whole soundtrack for the movie. And it was very large, and it wasn't so much of a slasher movie sound. It was more of a bigger drama sound it had to it.
Yeah, and they actually have a feature on here where they play the movie with that soundtrack.
I thought that was so cool, but there's no dialogue in it. That's the only bad thing about it.
I don't know. The one thing I really liked about it was that it had that orchestra sound, where the other ones didn't. All the other ones were just the which were all great soundtracks, but they just had the synthesizers and the pianos and whatnot. And this one, it actually was an orchestra, and even the Halloween theme was an orchestra theme. So I kind of liked it that way. So after that, we have vintage interviews and behind the scenes footage, and this is all stuff that was vintage, exactly what it says. I mean, it's all interviews from when they were filming.
This is something I watched today, and I gotta say, I thought it was awesome. I didn't like the interviews that much. I mean, they were kind of boring, but then when it actually got to behind the scenes stuff, it was really fascinating because they filmed a lot of sequences where they're going through the acting. You know, they're rehearsing between her and Josh Hartnett, and it was just really fascinating to watch.
Jamie Lee wasn't going to be in this movie at one point, and then when they finally got her to actually be in the movie, she really did everything on the set. I mean, and not only did she star in the film, but she was part director of it. I mean, she was part producer of it. It was like she took over.
Probably one of my favorite things on this entire disc, actually, is the scene where Josh and Jamie Lee are rehearsing. And first of all, Josh is just standing there, and he's like, you know, just kind of going through the motions and doing his lines. And then Jamie Lee's over, she's laughing and talking to somebody else. But when then she comes in, it's just like a light switch comes on, and she becomes a character. It's like, boom!
You're not allowed to be off campus for lunch. You know that. You too, Charlie. Come on, I'll drive you home. You know what, Charlie? Just wait the fuck a second. What are you doing? Well, then don't put me in the fucking position, John.
Then all of a sudden, she's just like Laurie Strode. And she starts coming in on Josh and delivering her lines so well. I mean, even though it was a rehearsal. And he kind of like, whoa, you know, I'm actually working with a real actress here.
Jesus Christ, you know what it is. The one day you pull this shit, you're not allowed to just fucking walk around, John. Not today. Not today. You know what? I ask you for one thing, just one day. I ask you for one.
I'm giving you 17 years.
And then, you know, you could just tell that he starts thinking to himself, I need to get my stuff together right now.
I need you to be responsible, John. I need you to act responsible.
Don't talk responsible.
Just one thing. I ask you to do one thing. Just one thing in your life.
Mom, I'm not responsible for you!
Parker! All right!
Because she's really acting in even his rehearsals. And then he comes back at her with some, you know, really good acting. And she's like, oh, that was so amazing. All that stuff, I just love it. I thought it was great.
It's always interesting to me to see what they're doing on set and how they put the movie together anyway. So next we have like the theatrical trailers and the TV spots for Halloween H2O, which pretty much is exactly what that is. So the last thing they have on here is a gallery which shows all kinds of behind the scenes and promos and posters and movie stuff, you know, pictures that they took on set and stuff like that.
So in all events, what would you give this disc?
Out of the box set, this one was kind of just plain. I mean, there wasn't really anything that really stood out on this one, except maybe the Scream Factory Part 1 and Part 2 making of kind of thing. But overall, I enjoyed it, and I would give it a 4 out of 5.
Now, I did like the extras quite a lot. Some of them were really entertaining, and now I kind of know what the jerk that Steve Miner is, and how annoying Jamie Lee Curtis is, in person, I guess. Still a great actress, though. But things like that you learn when you see the behind-the-scenes stuff. So yeah, I thought it was also a good 4 out of 5.
And I wanted to thank everyone that requested us to finish this. I appreciate that. And if there's more people To do that, you will get more and more and more stuff like this from us.
Quality entertainment.
At its best.
At its something, anyway.
I think that's enough.